What's going on, Orange Nation? This is Neil Adler with another episode of Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. It is Thursday. I think I got that right. I don't know, friends. Sometimes the weeks, the days, they all just blend together. Who the heck knows? But yeah, looking at my calendar, it looks like it's Thursday the 23rd. We got Syracuse football on Saturday the 25th in Atlanta, hot Atlanta. Y'all ever been to Atlanta? I've only been there once. It was actually for the Syracuse basketball Final Four in 2013. And I stayed in Midtown, and it was super fun. Other than Syracuse losing in the semifinals to Michigan, but anyway, hot Atlanta, number 7 Georgia Tech, Syracuse football trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. So let's get into some football. We're going to do some recruiting to start. On Wednesday, word came out that Penn State verbal commit in the 2026 class, Alexander Haskell, verbally committed to Syracuse. Syracuse flipped him. Rivals 24/7 Sports had it before me. Always got to give credit. Haskell also put it on social media, but I also confirmed it with a source of mine, so it is what it is. Congrats to Alex. He is 6'4", 255. He's a high three-star defensive lineman. He's from the Philadelphia area, which is a key recruiting market for Syracuse. And, we've talked on Syracuse Central about different guys, verbal commits from Penn State, either in 2026 or 2027, either decommitting from Penn State altogether or reopening their recruitment while remaining committed in the wake of James Franklin getting fired on October 12th. And Syracuse has been in touch with other guys, at least one guy, Penn State verbal or former verbal, visited last weekend. We'll talk about another one here in a minute. But Haskell, he put out on Tuesday night that he was reopening his recruitment, and then by Wednesday he was committed to Syracuse. But it's not like completely out of the blue. It's not completely surprising at all, frankly, because let me just get my notes here. Syracuse offered him in May of 2024, so they've been recruiting him for a bit. And then this past February, he had a Final Four of Syracuse, Michigan, Penn State, Duke, obviously committed to Penn State verbal in, I believe, May of this year. But, certainly Syracuse has been on him for a while, and he said in a couple of interviews that he has a strong relationship with Fran Brown and defensive coordinator / assistant head coach Elijah Robertson. So, it's a good pickup. And he goes to St. Joseph Prep in Philly, which is the same prep home of Kyle McCord, who we all know played 1 year at Syracuse, record-setting Syracuse and ACC quarterback, is now with the Philadelphia Eagles. So, it's a key recruiting market for Syracuse, Philly, the city of brotherly love. Great cheesesteaks there. You ever had a Philly cheesesteak? Damn, those are good. Now I want a freaking Philly cheesesteak. Anyway, but he's a high 3-star. Let me get my notes here. Top 650 nationally, according to both composite services. Looks like his highest, or one of his highest rankings at defensive lineman is Rivals, having him at number 44 around the country in the 2026 cycle, which is, of course, 44 being on brand. But it's a good pickup. And he had a really nice offer list. And again, his Final Four included Michigan and Penn State, two, Big Ten schools. Obviously, Penn State's struggling, but they made the CFP, and Michigan won the title 2 years ago. So for Fran Brown and company to flip this dude, it's saying something. And so Syracuse is up to 29 verbal pledges. At least they were after Haskell committed. Of course, if anyone committed between the time I ran this and, we'll see. But as of right now, it's 29. They're up to number 25 overall, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite, which is well on its way to the highest class ranking for Syracuse in the modern recruiting rankings internet era. 24/7 Sports National Scout Gabe Brooks. Is his name Gabe Brooks? Did I get that right? Yep. He had a evaluation from the spring on Haskell, and he said, look, he's got potential beyond college, i.e. the NFL. And I'm pretty sure Haskell said in a couple of those interviews that, Fran and company are telling him they can help get him to the pros. So that's obviously a big part of it. And Syracuse does have a handful of other defensive linemen / edge rusher verbal commits in 2026, including Jarius Rogers, who's a 4-star prospect from Florida. And, this is a key position for Syracuse because their defensive line hasn't been amazing this year. They need to keep getting better on the defensive line and on the edge in terms of getting pressure on opposing teams' quarterbacks and moving the offensive lines back and actually containing runs, rushing games, rushing attacks of opposing teams. Anyway, I'll just say it's a great commit. We'll see if other guys flip from Penn State to Syracuse. Certainly, guys have already decommitted and are looking at Syracuse among other schools. And I'll definitely be curious to see who replaces James Franklin. All right, speaking of the Syracuse defense, the Syracuse defense has struggled this year. There's no way to slice it other than it's been up and down, and they're second to last in the ACC in points allowed per game and second to last in total yards allowed per game. 29.9 points, 421.1 yards. But the Syracuse defense definitely looked better in the second half against SMU two games ago, and against Pittsburgh. They only allowed 255 total yards, and they had 7 sacks. Kevin Jobity, the senior defensive lineman, had 3, and they had 13 tackles for a loss. So we'll see if that's an anomaly or if that's start of a positive trend. But I feel like the defense is on the upswing, and a couple of Syracuse defensive backs talked about that in recent days. I just wanted to pass along a couple of things, and they'll have their work cut out for them against Georgia Tech on Saturday because Georgia Tech is number 2 in the ACC in rushing yards per game at 228.4, and their dual threat quarterback, he doesn't throw for a ton of yards, but he doesn't throw a lot of picks. He's efficient, but they've given up 3 sacks in 7 games. So that's a testament to Haynes King, the redshirt senior, his dual threat abilities, his legs. That's also a credit to the Georgia Tech offensive line. So the Syracuse defensive line and the Syracuse defense is going to be tested certainly in the run game. So Devin Grant said something interesting. He was asked about SU's defense becoming more aggressive over the last, I guess, game and a half, whatever you want to call it. And he said, we have this thing called the piranhas mentality. Get into the ball. The more people that it is to the ball, the less like it is for a big run or for a run to bounce out, to be a cutback. I feel like, hold on, let me get this last quote. I feel like if we continue to do that, this piranha mentality will be very successful. And, both him and Chris Peel spoke about the defense. Chris Peel's that Georgia transfer. Grant's a safety, and Peel is one of the cornerbacks along with Demetrius Samuel Jr. But they both talked about Georgia Tech's physical offense. Again, they have a rugged offensive line, and they run the ball down opponents' throats. And Grant said about Georgia Tech's offense, we bank ourselves on we won't be out-hit or out-hustled. I'm excited to show you guys that we won't be out-hit or out-hustled this Saturday. And Peel talked about being more aggressive, simplifying things, having this mentality that we can compete and don't make it overly complicated or difficult. Just go out and play physical ball. And I think that's, at this point in the year, I feel like that should be Syracuse's motto on both ends of the field. Just go out and compete on defense. Keep it simple. Go out and hit guys, have good coverage, tackle guys efficiently, get some takeaways on offense, and I'll probably get into this on Friday ahead of the Georgia Tech game, the day before. But, with Ricky Collins, just keep it simple, short throws, let him use his legs maybe a little bit more, but just, keep it simple. And Peel also said, we're going to show, Georgia Tech and others how physical we can be. And he feels like Saturday's game is a great stage for us to showcase just how physical we can be and out-hustle other teams. So, I'm not saying that Syracuse is in its last 5 regular season games is going to end up being like in the top 4 in scoring defense and the top 4 of, total yards allowed, because right now they're second to last in both, 16th out of the 17-team league. But if they could, I've said this before with the offense too, just over these last 5 games, try and, continue to fight, continue to compete. Hopefully they at least beat BC and North Carolina and put up a good fight against Georgia Tech, Miami, Notre Dame on the road. But just like show progress. Show progress in defense. Show progress on offense. And not just with Ricky Collins, but with the run game, with the offensive line. But I do like this offensive or this defensive piranha mentality. Piranhas scare the crap out of me, but I kind of like it. All right. So speaking of defense, and credit Syracuse.com, the Post Standard. They had this first, but I confirmed it as well from some folks myself. But Syracuse is brought on, and they've done this before, and programs do this all the time. But they brought on board for an undetermined amount of time a consultant, a long time, almost 50-year coach in college football. His name is Don Brown, and he's regarded as a defensive mastermind. He earned the nickname, according to one of his bios from one of his previous stops, he earned the nickname Dr. Blitz because he's aggressive and blitz heavy and all that. So Dr. Blitz. So he joined within the last week the program as a consultant, I'm told. And it's unclear how long he's going to be with the program. I was also told that while the Syracuse defense certainly has had its ups and downs, Coach Brown was not brought on board just because like the defense is having some struggles. It's just to get a fresh set of eyes. It's something that Syracuse has done in the past. Other programs do it. Here's a quote from Elijah Robinson, the Orange's assistant head coach last DC. He said to Syracuse.com, "We're always going to make sure we reach out to people and get help, not from an X's and O's standpoint. It's too late to try to change anything we do. But if there's someone who has experienced the little things, we'll talk and listen to them." So again, Don Brown's not like coming in to overhaul the defense. And while the defense has struggled some, it's not like this was the result just of that. It's just kind of like an ongoing thing. They've hired other guys in the past. I don't have specific names, but I know they've done it. Anyway, about Don Brown, he has been the head coach at Plymouth State, Northeastern UMass, 101 and 73 overall record. He has been a college head coach one from another since the late 70s. UMass in 06 was number 2 in the national rankings at the FCS level under him. He's been a DC defensive coordinator at Maryland, UConn, Boston College, Michigan, and more recently Arizona. And when he was at Michigan, they had top 10 defenses multiple times. So, again, it's someone to just give them a fresh take, fresh set of eyes. And we don't know how long Coach Brown will be there, but, if it coincides with the defense playing better, I'm all for it. And his reputation, certainly precedes itself and needs no introduction, although I'm giving you some background context here, but that dude knows defense. So I think it's good. I have no idea how much he's getting paid. I wasn't told that, but he did join the last week, and we don't know how long he's going to be there. So we'll see. Something to keep an eye on. All right, one more recruiting story to round things out, and I've talked about this dude a couple times, or at least once, if not more, on Syracuse Central. 5-star running back, 2027 5-star running back, the number 1 running back in the 2027 class, Kevin Spell. He's from the Pittsburgh area. He is going to visit Syracuse for the Halloween North Carolina home game, and I can't wait for Syracuse to crush Bill Belichick. And others had, I wasn't the first to report it, but I did get it confirmed on my own last week. And it's since been out there this week, and he's got some other visits coming up too. And like I said, he's 5'10", 210. He plays for McKeesport Area Senior High School in McKeesport, PA, which is a Pittsburgh suburb. He's a former Penn State verbal commit in 2027. He decommitted, I think, like the same day or the next day after James Franklin was let go. He's a top 10 national prospect, according to most recruiting services. And he just came off a visit to Notre Dame, which went extremely well. And the reason I'm bringing him up is because as of last time I looked, at least, there was at least 3 analyst predictions for Notre Dame to land Spell between 24/7 Sports and Rivals. And, I talk about it on Syracuse Central with these analyst predictions. I write about it on Inside the Lighthouse and elsewhere. Take them with the proverbial grain of salt. But, if you've got a handful of them and they're from reputable guys, that's not necessarily a good sign for Syracuse. But I guess the other thing is he just came off this visit, and analysts can change up their stuff all the time, and they do, to make their predictions hold true better. And fine, whatever. I don't care either way. But he just came off the Notre Dame visit. He does have other visits. If the Syracuse one goes well, we'll see. He's a 2027 guy. So he's a junior, so his recruitment could have more ways to go, or he could do these visits and commit to Notre Dame or whatever. I just think it's cool that Syracuse is even getting a guy like this on campus. I'm not saying they didn't ever in the past, but dude, this guy is the number one running back in the 2027 class nationally. 5 stars, top 10 overall prospect, overall. And he's had some really good years already for McKeesport. And again, for Syracuse to get him on campus is encouraging. It's kind of like I talk about in basketball, like with some of these guys. I'll take the field, including Notre Dame, over Syracuse's chances with Spell. But the fact that they're getting a guy like Spell on campus and they just got a commitment from Haskell, and we'll see about other guys, it's encouraging stuff. So I'll keep tabs on Spell and provide intel about other Penn State verbals that might be visiting Cuse, or Syracuse might be in touch with these guys, or certainly other schools like Florida, or if other head coaches get fired where Syracuse has offered guys. I will do my best to pass along as much, accurate information is always accurate, and always citing other people first if they get it first. Sometimes I get it first, not always, not even often, but I confirm stuff because that's what reporters do. Anyway, this is Neil Adler with Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. Drop me comments on what you like and what you don't like, what you want to see, what you don't want to see. I appreciate you tuning in. Have a great rest of your Thursday. I will talk to you again on Friday, friends, and thanks so much for your support. If you really like the show, hit the like and or subscribe button. Tell your friends or don't tell your friends, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Take care.